Good evening, everyone. Hey, it's prime time, baby. It's prime time. We are in prime time again. Welcome back to Life Off the Bench. Y'all know I don't be hiding nothing from y'all, man. I talk too much, and so we about a minute or two late getting started because we were having a debate and a discussion on how tonight's show should go. And me now, I'm for the whole caravan, the whole thing. And I don't know what they want to do, but the show is not possible without them. So hey, we a little short-handed on panelists tonight. Everybody really got a lot going on, and I'm grateful that every week those that can make it do show up and they come ready to give you guys the best that they have to offer. And so, with that being said and that being known, tonight's show topic talks about acceptance. Um, from my POV, when this thought became a real thing, it was a embryo in my mind, but once I spoke it into existence, um, my thought was a general overview of every part of acceptance. And that means starting at and with a lot of the laws that have been made, that were created supposedly to make life better. But I wish I remembered. Thanks, Nancy. I wish I remembered this quote verbatim. I just left the movies watching Till. Shout out to Miss Detweiler. Um, he was the main character in the movie. Um, I almost cried about 18 times and I got angry 19. Um, I don't think that it was planned that I went to see Till today, but man, it sure it just left me with a feeling because to me it said a lot about tonight's topic that we're discussing within acceptance. Um, you have to look at this from a place of what are you willing to accept? What are you willing to accept in your everyday life? What are you willing to fight for in your everyday life? Because some days we just act like puddles on the ground and we just walk through whatever mess is sitting there without any feelings, emotions, empathy, sympathy, or what have you. And that's just bad. My mother and Grayson Girl Juan's mother always told us that you should stand for something or you're going to fall for anything. And in today's society, falling for anything just isn't what the business is. So, hey, I'm going to introduce our panelists tonight that we have here right now. Looking beautiful as ever, our two ladies, Grayson Girl One, Cree Barnes, and our lone guy on the panel tonight. What's up, bro? Bam.
Oh,
Just like that, bro. This guy at the bottom, Chad Wilson, he is one of the most honorable men I've ever met in my life. I will say that till I die, because that's who he is. Um, and we're opposites. Like, I'm super effing combative, and he's non-combative. So I'll argue about anything. I'll argue about the wind blowing. He'll say, "Man, it's just wind." Like, God damn, it's more than wind. It's just wind, bro. So yeah, everybody said opposites don't attract. We got about 14 years, 13, maybe 13, 14 years of friendship, brotherhood. I definitely pray for him. I know he prays for me, and that means a lot to me. The big head girl up top on the right, we shared a mother and a father. She's probably the smartest person I've ever met in my life, even with the big ass forehead. Uh,
Oh,
hey, Chad, don't do that. You're
I
being an
cannot.
instigator right
you
now.
gonna get in trouble.
Women to the bottom right are being instigators right now. Um, I love you
You
guys.
said it, but we're instigators. Okay.
I said what? Don't I always say what I feel?
Sometimes I think he's looking for trouble.
Right.
Always. I love trouble.
I ain't gonna get him into trouble tonight. I'm gonna let him make
Right.
it.
Me and
Thank
Trouble are friends. We are so cool. Me and Trouble.
I'm gonna accept what he says tonight.
Man, look,
Good one.
hey, y'all don't even know. I feel some type of way right now, man. I probably should, again, and this is a real spiel, you guys. I probably should have never watched Till.
Well, I just think since you try to put us on blast about the pre-conversation, it's not that we didn't want to talk about acceptance in its whole manner, but not direct towards one thing that we're not ready for. That's all.
I'm
As a
always
whole,
prepared.
I'm good. It's not that we're not always prepared, but you need to know the laws to discuss the laws. You need to know when they occur, when they pass, what signatures were behind it, who believes what. Like it's a whole realm of things that come with
I,
that.
I
Versus,
would,
excuse me, I didn't interrupt you. Okay, so a whole realm of things that come with that versus talking about acceptance as a whole, meaning accepting someone for who they are, for what they believe, disagreeing with someone but still befriending that person. That's different to me.
Right.
Mm.
so let me ask you this. Let me let me ask you this question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finished? Are we done yet?
Maybe it depends on your question.
I do, I do not got time. I do not got time to be playing with y'all, man. I do not got time to be playing with y'all. At the bottom right, our financial guru,
Oh no, I don't know about that, but okay,
Miss
I'll
Pre
take it.
Barnes. Um,
Hi.
if she come up close, I'm gonna see if her forehead big too, y'all.
It is, and it's mine, and I wear it
Now,
very well.
now you accept that.
Thank you.
Hey, hey,
And
We
we're
ain't
not
say
gonna
nothing about your milk dud.
exactly.
my
I think
very
it
own
might be Whopper,
sister.
might be a better term.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
let's. I
Forgive me,
guess I
y'all.
would.
Hey,
Someone
no, let's
with the
let's let's
definition
let's
of
do this
acceptance.
right here though. Real quick, real quick. The definition of acceptance: the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered, charges involving the acceptance of bribe that have nothing to do with what we're trying to talk about, unless y'all taking bribes. I can give everybody 25 cents on Cash App if y'all taking bribes.
25 cents. You
That's all
tried.
I got.
That's not a bribe. That's an insult.
If it's all I got, it's a bribe.
Well, you need to step it up. You need to come up. That's an insult.
The action or process of being received as adequate or suitable, typically to be admitted into a group, you must wait for acceptance into the club. Nothing to
It's,
do with what we're talking about tonight.
that is
Is it?
that's that. Well, that's just a phrase to help you understand what that definition means. If I want to be accepted by a group of people socially, yes, it is. That's a type of acceptance. See, you said you wanted to discuss everything, so don't exclude nothing and limit us to what we're talking about if you don't want to talk about the whole picture.
That
While,
Love you.
while we can't talk about the antiquated laws, then
We didn't say we couldn't
We
talk
didn't
about
say
it.
we could.
our attorney panelist is going to be on shortly. He's at the
Well,
jail representing clients right now. He's
when he
working
get
on a
on, then
Sunday.
we'll talk about the law portion. We just said
Our
I
we.
agree.
criminal journalist panelist, I'm sure, is going to be on at
Can
some
we
point.
mute him?
He the only one got access to muting folks. Because, oh Lord, where's the niece?
Where's
Let
Denise
me.
where we need her?
Right.
So last
So
one
what
I'm
you're
gonna
not gonna do is keep
and
talking
this
over
was
everybody.
I'm not trying to. I'm just
Mm.
I'm in a funk tonight. Y'all gotta forgive me. I'm gonna
Well,
let
you better
y'all
come out of it, Chad. Pray for your brother.
say. So the full definition says similar receipt, receiving, taking, obtaining, acquiring, undertaking, taking on, assumption, tackling, yes, affirmative, reply, affirmation, confirmation, ratification, the action or process of being received as. That was a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot to do this too. Do that real quick. Hit that disclaimer for about 30 good seconds. Y'all bear with me. Forgive me on that. Lord, y'all, I'm trying to send y'all this thing that y'all asked for, and I can't find it anywhere.
You already took one? Why'd you
Okay, so your thoughts, pre, your thoughts on acceptance.
So in what area are we discussing?
Whatever area you're comfortable with acceptance about.
I'm comfortable in any area, but I just think a lot of topics. There are a lot of topics to be discussed. One could be, as April said, if you want to fit into a social club, where whatever your one could be your sexual preference. One could be, cliquish in school, bullying, things of that nature. I think it's just a pick and choose battle type of thing in some situations. Just because I don't agree with you, don't mean I can't accept who you are. So I think it would depend on the person, because we do have topics such as transgender and things of that nature, or the parent accept their child's sexual preference. So I mean, what realm, what topic do you want to discuss first?
I think I want to start um, from the public format of everyday life.
Okay, but that can go as far as beliefs. Pretty much to me, every foundation of every religion is the same, and then you branch off to their own entity or whatever the case may be. But just because I don't believe in certain things does not mean you can't accept who I am, because I could be a good person and I could benefit you. And I'm not saying me, I'm just using me as an example. And I can benefit you in other areas of your life. So just because our religion is different, I may be Muslim, you may be Christian. Does that mean we can't socialize with each other? Does that mean you can't tap into my knowledge for other areas? No, it's an agree to disagree type of thing. And I can not use is not the word I want to say, but again, accept you in the areas of my life that I need you or I benefit from.
Hmm. Great point. Chadwick.
So, everyone knows I work in the school system, and actually, I actually work in discipline, and so I spend a lot of time sorting out a lot of problems or challenges, life challenges with young people, and so the one thing as it relates to acceptance, whenever I counsel a lot of these kids, and it applies to adults because some of these things, are just getting along type things. One of the things that I always tell kids is this certain thing, is it impeding you from being the best person that you can be? Is it impeding you from going about your everyday comings and goings? And if it is, then it needs to be addressed in a certain manner. But if it's not impeding you from being and doing and achieving and striving, to reach your goals, then those are some of the things that, and it doesn't add value to your life. Those are some of the things that shouldn't be as bothersome as other things. So that's one, and we know that the concept of acceptance is so multifaceted. It goes into our parenting, again, just the social norms and what we believe to be normal and what's not, our spiritual beliefs, what we choose to or believe to be spiritual and not. So it's multifaceted, but like I guess a general rule of thumb when I counsel with young people is it impeding you from being the best person that you can be, or does it have an impact on who you are? That's when some adjustments need to be made.
Great job, bro. Grayson girl 1.
I agree with Chad. Does it affect who you are or who you're trying to become? Does it affect your beliefs or what you believe in your daily life? Acceptance. Generally, I accept people for who they are. I don't try to change them. But that doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with their propaganda. Um, you can unlean your head to the side, little boy, because
Because you just told the wise tale.
no, I did not. I
Did
accept
you?
you every day for who you are, and that's
No,
why
you
we
didn't.
let you come on here because this your show with all them antics that you be having. But anyway, this is my time to talk. Stay over there till it's your time to host. My working definition of acceptance is my definition, and you don't have to accept what I put out.
Mm, mm.
And that's with anything. You may not like what a person do, but that don't mean you have to do what they do either. We are all individuals with individual thought processes, individual guidances that we fall beyond. You always saying what mom and daddy used to tell us. You don't always follow them rules.
I didn't. I didn't when I was growing up. I do now. To the letter, I do now.
I
So
can't
that
say that I do. But go ahead, April. Sorry,
right.
let me finish.
Because I always reflect back on some stuff my mom used to tell us, and I remember in my mind saying, I ain't never doing that. And then there was some stuff I would say, I'm doing exactly that. I can't wait to get some kids and I can do all this stuff to them kids. And I can honestly say that half of that stuff, I didn't do none of it to my kids uh, as they were growing up. But some of it, like my daughter, she'd say, Mom, where you get that from? I said, that's what my mama used to say. She'd be like, I'm writing this down because when I get some kids, I'm saying that. So, like, we learn to accept certain things in life as well, just based on what's going on. And sometimes our vision or insight on those things changes, like how we really feel about it,
Yeah.
because we learn something new or different. And so some things that we may not have accepted in the past, now that we're older and a little wiser, some of us, we learn to accept different things.
And I'll say too, even though even growing up, it's things that our parents didn't know because they didn't experience, or it times are different. So a lot of things, I'm not gonna say a lot, but most things that I was told once I experienced life is totally different than what my mom might have experienced, or my cousin or my aunt might have experienced. My experience may be totally different. So just because you feel that way based on your experience don't mean I should.
Exactly.
Hey, so since y'all are being so antagonistic tonight, did I say that out loud?
Hmm.
I mean,
Just
you always
Joe,
say something out loud.
Right.
Just jokes. No, when I think of acceptance, it's so many things that come to mind, and the majority of them bother me because I get told every day I care too much, and I do. I care about a lot of things that most people will spit at, but they mean a lot to me. Um, what what are some things that you guys care about that under the principle of acceptance you don't accept? And we're going to start under me, and let's discuss each one for a moment. Chadwick?
So everyone knows here that I deal with children every day. And so our kids come to school with a lot of baggage, family situation. I say baggage, but I hate to use that word, but they come with a lot of stuff, you know, and sometimes you have to unpack a whole lot of stuff to get to the root problem of what's really going on with them. And I have the luxury sometimes of having the time to unpack it, you know, and so there are some things that some of these kids go through that really bothers me, and of no fault of their own. Sometimes it's their fault, but a lot of times no fault of their own. It's just the environment and the situations that they're in, and it creates some bad situations for them, some bad, I say bad, different ways of thinking that's not very expedient for them to develop in the right way. So, and it bothers me. It bothers me because a lot of times I can see the direction in which they're headed. And if there's no intervention, if there's no one to step in, then, you know, I can predict just by 23 years of being in education, I can predict where these kids are headed. And it bothers me because I care. Like Hova says, I care enough about it. I care enough about them. I care about their future. I care about where they come from, you know, and it bothers it. The fatherlessness of young boys. It bothers me, you know, and like I said in the last podcast, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of great men in my life, even men that wasn't my fathers or my grandparents. I mean, just people outside of my family. I was just surrounded by and gravitated to a bunch of great men, and I just see young boys not only not having those types of people in their life, but not even gravitating to the ones that I feel like they should gravitate to in order to get that direction and that stability. So it rubs me the wrong way. It has me overextending myself a lot of times, and doing a lot of things that some people feel like I shouldn't do, I shouldn't have to do, or what have you, you know. And it's, you know, I take on a lot of responsibilities in that sense, and it's exhausting sometimes. Sometimes it's not good for me. I know it's not good for me, but I just feel a obligation because someone did it for me to want to do it for somebody else. And I guess at the end of the day, I want to be able to lay my head on the pillow at night and say, you know what? At least I tried. I tried to help this young man out, and girls too. You know, sometimes I have conversation with girls in my office about like how is this going to help you be the best person that you could be? You know, and it's unsettling. It's very, very unsettling. The things that they prescribe to and that they wholeheartedly will justify in that's the most proper way or the only way to be able to handle a challenge in life. So, you know, dealing with kids, watching them develop in a certain way with direction that is going to lead them in a more difficult path than what that it don't have to be. That's what bothers me, and it's hard for me to accept that. Hey, you know what? This is how it's going to be, or that's their life, or especially when I have an opportunity to touch them. It's hard for me to just sit back and just watch. I mean, I had a situation recently, and this is the last thing. I had a situation recently. I was sitting with my wife, and we were discussing a young person and what they have going on, and then so after my wife explained this to me, I said, "So what are we gonna do?" That was my response. So what are we gonna do? Because I feel like if we have the means, not that we have a whole lot, but if we have something to offer, we should. So that's what it's hard for me to accept. It's hard for me to accept watching young people go in a more difficult direction.
Facts, facts. Who wants to go first, and I'll go last? April, Shapri.
I'm trying to unmute
April.
myself, sir.
Huh?
I was trying to unmute myself. Um, so yeah, Chad said a lot, and I can kind of relate to what he said dealing with kids, because when they come in your office, some of them have a whole lot of stuff going on that they're dealing with at home, and at home they're being told you're a child, stay in a child's place. Um, I just saw something on Facebook where it said how to deal with your younger children. Allow them to express their feelings and emotions that are going on in their lives. Don't discard what they say they're feeling. Um, just various things. And so when they come in Chad's office, that's what they get to. That's what they get to unpack. Mr. Wilson, Coach Wilson, this was bothering me today, and a lot of kids don't get that exchange at home. They don't get that dialogue that they get to get with him. And so they leave feeling like, I don't have an option. I don't have a choice. I just got to do this. And so that leads them, in my opinion, to think that when things go wrong at school or in their groups that they're a part of, they have to be acceptant of it. And you don't have to accept anything that your heart or your spirit does not agree with. Even Christ gives us the option as to what we're going to deal with in life, whether we're going to accept his word or not accept his word. Um, and so when you deal with little people, you have to be mindful of what's going on in their head, because they don't even think in the same realm that we think in as adults. And our job to be able to lead and guide them and prepare them how to deal with the things in the world. And so if they grow up feeling like they gotta accept everything, I remember growing up, I used to be in this little group, it was a church group called Mission Bells, and they taught us how to be young ladies. That was the purposes of, with a spiritual background. We don't have things like that today to teach our younger generations, boys or girls. The boys went to a little group too, and I forget what it was called, but to teach them how to be gentlemen, to teach them how to be respectable young men. And we don't have the people in position, because everybody has their own agenda nowadays. And so nobody wants to be responsible. Maybe that ain't a good word. Nobody wants to take on the position, to assume the responsibility, to teach people how to be accepting of others or not, how to voice your opinion and say what you mean and mean what you say, and be tolerable of others, or just not to deal with it, just go your own way. Where are the real leaders? So when we grew up, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, we heard a lot about them growing up, and you hear a lot about them in this day and time. But so when we get to be 80, 90-year old, who is the generation after us going to be talking about?
He's so stupid.
I'm glad I can't read lips because I have no idea what he's saying, but that's probably for the best.
Right.
You know.
I said I was about the Black Lives Matter leave.
See, that's why I said right. You wasn't supposed to,
You wasn't even supposed to say
you
that out
wasn't supposed to say
loud.
that.
Go back on mute.
So
You know, there has to be some exchange, some passing on of the mantle. And if we don't ever instill these in our young people, so once they get past Chad, who's going to pick up where Chad left off? Once they get past the next level, who's going to pick up at that point? You know, when they get to the college level, because when they get to college, I always say that's where you learn how to really be an adult. Mom and daddy not there. They don't get to tell you a lot of stuff. You don't got to go to class. The teacher don't care if you don't come to class because they're gonna get a paycheck anyway. Where is the next person to take the baton?
right.
Great question.
I cannot with you. I'm so like over it. So
hey,
go back
hey,
on mute. Go back on
I
mute.
probably shouldn't have said it, but I
No, you
damn
should
well
not have
meant
said
it.
it.
Come
But
on,
I
Bree,
mean,
give me your thoughts on Chad's
my thoughts on Chad.
zero tolerance.
So I think it's a number of things. One is we have to start very young, teaching them freedom of expression, responsibility. And when I say young, I'm talking about as little as 4, 3. You know, it starts there because 2, okay, April 2. So I think, you know, we start teaching them that it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, I'm not feeling whatever movement you know, trying to bring about. It's okay to not fit in. So, you know, and I think we don't teach them that early enough. As far as April's question, who's going to pass the baton to, you got to teach them how to accept and receive the baton before you can expect them to carry it. Because if they don't know what they're doing with it, it's pointless. So again, I just think I get what Chad is saying, April is saying, and I agree with both. At Chad's level, I don't think it's too late, but I think once it gets to Chad level, it's a lot on that child's plate to release. And one person, as they say, it takes a village. So one person, I don't know how many kids Chad see a day, but I'm sure it drains him and it wears him out, and it takes a lot out of him to try to be there for each and every single child. So that's where we need to get that village mindset back again. But you have to have those people that want to be responsible for that and want to accept the responsibility without recognition, anything in return, a hidden agenda, just to solely teach kids freedom of expression, how to release, how to deal with their emotions. All of that come into play for me.
Right. Again, both of you ladies, along with Chad, made great points, especially dealing with and concerning our chosen people. Our children are our chosen people, I believe, because they're the future. They're the ones who has to ensure that they're learning something to keep their generations going and being steadfast. And so when you look at it, my issue with that part of the show is adults are just asses. They will hinder the world just to be antagonistic. You don't have to give your time, you don't have to give your effort, you don't have to give your energy, but don't interrupt the people that are willing to work. Don't like we will tear somebody's name apart because we don't like them and the work they out, the honest work that they're out trying to do, Because a lot of people that are out there on the battlefields doing the work for our kids, they don't get paid for it. And if they do, they're not getting paid enough. But we'll tear them up. We'll destroy their name, their image, their likeness. And then guess what they say? Accept it. Which is horse crap. Again, you don't have to. It's plenty of people that I do not like, period. But I will support them in their efforts to support our children with everything that I have. Because, again, our children are our future. It's people that I don't agree with. But every time they have a function for our children, if I'm able, I'm there. Because, again, our children are what? Our future.
And you know, one of the funny things is you have a lot of people who are investing their time and efforts and resources to make things better for young people, and many times making things better for young people that are not their own. And you'll have certain people who will try, like you said, try to tear them down, try to ridicule and criticize. But those are the very people that say we need programs for young people. We need, someone needs to do something, and that bothers me too. That really like rubs me the wrong way whenever there's a person trying to put that resource out there for young people, and then they tear it down. But then they want to say that there's a need for these things, or there's a need for these people. That bothers me. It really it's really an aggravating situation.
I agree, Chad, and in our environment, in our community, we see that weekly. Got guys that could be doing more, but they're sitting on there doing nothing, and then they want you to not be angry or not be mad. Hell yeah, I'm angry as hell. Because I still have kids growing up through this cycle. And if we don't collectively give all we have and all we know to our children, are we supposed to just accept the fact that they'll be dumb as hell? Are we supposed to accept the fact that we know drug dealers, we know what are the people, traffickers, and all these different type people are here, predators, waiting on our kids to make the wrong mistake, the wrong move, the wrong thought, the wrong step, so that they can snatch them up and put them in their gangs or whatever it is. Like, are we supposed to just accept that? I vote no. Fight for your children. Fight for your community. Fight for your relatives. Fight for your loved ones. And most importantly, this is what will give you a lot of bonus points with God, and that's fight for people that can do nothing in return for you. Up next, Racing Girl 1. Tell us your non-negotiable.
My non-negotiable, I can't even just name one off the bat, because I try to be tolerant of everybody. Because I try to live by the scripture that says, don't repay evil with evil, but repay evil with good, because that's where our blessings come from. And so in saying that, does that mean I just accept anything? No. But I allow you to feel how you feel. If you say the sun is black, then okay, it's black. I'm not going to get into a lot of debates with you about how you feel or what you feel about a lot of situations, because everybody is entitled to their opinions, and opinions, I can't say that. I'll leave that for him up there.
Right.
Opinions are just what they are. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody thinks.
Excuse me, time out. Do you
No.
want me to say it for you?
No, thank you. It's okay.
You ain't no fun. Bye.
Um, you know, everybody's entitled to think, feel how they want to think and feel. I do believe, though, I allude back to what Shapri was saying, when we start teaching our children. I got a 3-year-old granddaughter. She has made up in her mind, great granddaughter. She has made up in her mind every day that she wants to talk to her Nana or whoever she wants to talk to. And she picks up the phone and she tells her mama, call Nana, Nana. She can't even really make complete sentences, but she knows that she wants to talk to her Nana. If I don't answer the phone, she got a whole attitude when I call back. And she's subject to say, I don't talk, and walk right off. And so I'm like, we got to start early because they're learning early. The resources, the tools that they have now, we didn't have them. They watch all kinds of stuff, and I'd be like, "What is that? I ain't never heard of that." Some of these shows that they watch. We were talking earlier, and I said, "You want to watch Baby Shark?" She was like, "No, I don't watch something." And I was like, "Well, what is that?" My granddaughter was like, "Oh, now that's something they watch on YouTube." And she said, I don't really understand it, but it's like shapes and signs and colors, and it's got all these crazy names. And so, as the parents, as the adults, as the leaders, we have to get involved in their world and figure out what it is that they got going on so that we can teach them to be, as the $6 million man, you say, stronger, better, faster. The Bible says every generation is a little weaker, but wiser. They know a lot more than what we knew. They're a lot more tolerable of some things than we are because of how we grew up. I say I let people be people. They really let people be people. And I'm not talking about anybody. I'm not bashing anybody. The generation that we grew up in, we didn't know a lot of people had other sexual preferences.
Right.
Now they know about it. They know about it. They talk about it. That they are more accepting of it because it's the generation that they live in. Whereas somebody my age or a little older, but they be like, you need to be with them, you know. And so we say just because they hang around them, birds of a feather flock together, and they say, no, that's just my friend. Well, in the era we grew up with, if you hung around them, you must be like them. That's what we were told. You got to be doing what they doing. And so as I've gotten older, I've learned just because somebody else is doing something, that doesn't mean that's what I have to be doing. I can go to the left if they go to the right, or I can keep straight. I get to make my own choices, my own decisions. And that's one thing that we have to teach our kids too. And what I've learned in raising my own kids is whatever I instilled in them, it's in them. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing, because what I put in them, it will eventually come out. Now, does that mean they always gonna stay on the straight and narrow? No, sometimes they may veer to the left or veer to the right. But when they come back to their senses, they always gonna come back down the middle because they're gonna remember, oh, this is what mama taught me. And those are values, morals, that we instill into our kids. And so I think the teaching aspect of where we came from, we was sent to church. Y'all better get to the church and go to choir rehearsal. Y'all know y'all got youth meeting. My granddad ain't went to church at all, but he was sending us. Y'all gonna get in trouble if y'all don't get to that church. We had to be on the usher board in the youth choir. We had to be at BTU. We had to be at Bible study. We had no options. And don't think you going to hang out somewhere and you couldn't go to church on Sunday. That's a no. You couldn't go to church. You can't do nothing else. What is he talking about? Somebody help me.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
You know, and now in this this 50s generation, the 70s people, oh, they ain't got to go to church. They can, I'm just let them stay at home. And so that second line of aspect that Shapri was talking about, that village that we had, they no longer have that village because they over here with somebody else. There's parents letting them do everything under the sun. And so then they come home and wonder why they can't do that at your house. The venue is not the same.
Yeah. Oh my God. When he need to be mute, he not.
Right.
So I'll piggyback on what April is saying. I do agree, and I do think that we have to start young. Um, Again, I was never a fan of that. Oh, birds of a feather flock together. So I did not, or I tried not to be big on that with my kids. I think now, kids are where we had a controlled spirit is more of a free spirit. Yeah, it was controlled. You can look at it how you want to look at it. Again, accept my view. Okay. But you don't have to agree with it. But I do feel like it was a more controlled spirit because it's a lot of things we didn't know, we weren't allowed to try, we weren't exposed to. And I'm telling you why I'm saying controlled and not necessarily in a negative light for some. But it's a lot of things that we just weren't privy to. We didn't have knowledge of certain things when it went on with our parents and things of that nature, to where now, if you don't stop, to where now I say the kids have a free spirit because they're exposed to a lot of things. They're more tech savvy. So they get in, they get to see a lot of this stuff on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, Snapchat, TikTok, all of this. They're exposed to much more than we know about. They know a lot more than we give them credit for. So I just think they're more of a free spirit now. And so they accept, like April was saying, a lot of the lifestyles, a lot of the things that go on due to that.
I agree with both of y'all. So y'all, I was laughing at my sister because all I heard while she was talking was my mama, and she said something. The first thing that popped in my mind was, "Do as I say, not as I do." That was, I think, out of like, my mama taught us a lot of life lessons, and like I always tell people, I ain't followed not a one when she was living, but in her past, and I really try to follow all of them. And I can just always hear her say, "Damn it, do as I say, not as I do." That means go sit down and shut up, or I'll put your asterisk. And she meant that, and so it's just funny. But y'all are all right, man. Like, we gotta do in the totality of our kids, man, for future generations, not that we may not see. Again, I don't know how long God has um, in His time for this earth, but if it's gonna be here, why not do right by our babies um, that we love so much? Because I got a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old grandson, a 1-year-old granddaughter, a 7-month-old grandson, that I want them to reap the harvest of life in its abundance. And that's what we all should be seeking for our children. Even my 20 and 29-year-olds, I want them to have life in abundance, um, filled with joy and happiness. But we can't do that if we're always telling children to accept this or accept that. So, yeah, probably not a good damn thing to do, to just keep telling our kids to accept stuff that we know isn't good for them. And you don't have to agree with me, as Pre said, but respect my, what you say, respect my what?
View.
Oh, that wasn't what I was trying to
You
say.
was trying to say respect your gangster, but no.
I know he's trying to say. You always got to go back to Atlanta, but
Right.
respect my view.
Everybody know I ain't nothing about me, gangster. So that was her words, not mine. I'm soft as
No,
cotton candy.
no.
Hey, come on, Pre, give us your non-compliant, non-acceptance, your non-negotiable.
So I'm kind of like April. I tell people who they are, whatever with me. I'm not real big on arguing with you about your point of view because your opinion don't make me think. But if I
Take time out. Rewind that ish.
Let me
Your
call Elise
opinion don't
because
make
you sure doing a lot tonight.
your opinion don't make me think.
Are you sure? Are
I'm
you sure?
positive.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. If I don't agree with you, your thought process has nothing to do with mine.
All right, let's fast forward.
Okay, thank you.
Your opinion
So
does not make her think.
I'm just saying, just like your pockets don't determine what I spend. Same thing.
25 cents. I got a bribe for
That's
25.
why your pockets don't determine what I spend. But if I had to pick one, I would say altering ourselves to accommodate other people or fit in with the clique, the in crowd. And yeah, that's what I would pick. And I say that because you should not do things that make you uncomfortable with self. And I think that's where security and self esteem plays a part. Um, if I don't like something, I don't like it. I'm not going to now say I like it just to fit in with you or just to be a part of your group or just to make you comfortable in my space. So yeah, if I had to pick one, that's what I would pick. And I think oftentimes and when I say we, I'm not saying kids or adults, I'm saying human beings, period, try to force how we feel on the next person, try to force them to accept everything we think, we feel, the space that we're in. So if one person having a bad day, I expect you to accept how I feel and be in soak in that with me. Or if you want to be a part of this group, you have to twerk on social media, just an example. And I'm just saying. So, I think we need to raise our kids to understand how you view yourself is very important. How you feel about yourself is very important. And don't let anyone tap into your space, your energy, your security with self. Because when you do that, you tend to, like April said, veer to the left. And it might not necessarily be what I consider left or right, but it's not necessarily a positive light.
But that's very difficult for some people, especially growing up in this social media age,
Yes, it is.
because everybody wants the clicks and the ticks and the likes and everything.
Hold on. Let me address that what you just said. It's not just because it's social media. This has always been an issue.
Well, of course,
It's
but
just
I just said in
seen
this
now because
age,
of social media.
in this age,
Yeah.
it's made it it's like even more hypersensitive,
Mhm.
with that because like I know this is not just kids but adults. They are devastated. I've experienced with an adult. Uh, uh, they were devastated because they felt like you should like everything that's on their social media page, and I was like, well, it's not that I didn't like it or I hate it. I just didn't feel like it was worthy of me clicking the like button. It was just a regular post,
So
you
you know
know.
what? When you hold down that like button, you see all those emojis. Pick the sad one. Maybe
Right.
they'll be happy that you made a
Right.
comment, period. But I was saying that to say, if you start teaching your kids young, accept who you are. You have to start accepting you first, right? And if you don't
Right.
accept who you are, then you'll go for anything.
Right. And that's so crazy because um I it's difficult sometimes for me to understand, but also I realize that I didn't grow up the same way that everybody else grew up. You
Mhm.
know, I had special circumstances going on in my home where I knew that I wasn't like everybody else. I had a father that was disabled, so my responsibilities wasn't like all of my peers. So I was okay with being different, with having different responsibilities, different liberties, different, things. And not that I just lived this just dreadful, you know, young life, but I just knew my circumstances weren't other people's circumstances. So the things that I, and I envied a little bit sometimes the things that they were able to do and I couldn't, but I knew that, when I looked at the grand scheme of what I had going on, like it didn't fit within, how I was living. And so I think the challenge in it all, especially with our young people and with grown-ups, is to, hey, like you said, accept this is my situation. And my happiness, my joy is not contingent on how many people like me, how many people accept what it is that I have going on, or what have you. It's what adds value to my life. What's gonna make me the best version of me as possible, you know. And it's not contingent on what everybody else, how everybody else think. And if it does, then make sure it's because that's what you want,
Right.
and not what everybody else deems valuable. You know, yeah. And I think that's one of the challenges. Like you said, we have to teach our young people at an early age to have a standard of living. And though you have people from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different orientations or whatever, give them the respect of humanity. You know, hey, you're a human being. I'm going to respect you as such. I don't necessarily agree with how you live or what you believe, whatever, as long as it's not impeding me on being the best person I could be, or anybody that I have going on, and my beliefs too are not impeding you of being the best person, the best version of yourself that you could be, then we should be able to coexist, you know. And I deal with that all the, like, I just think about, and this is the last thing, I just think about some of the things that kids say to one another that may be offensive to one person and not to another, or whatever. You know, sometimes they don't, because of the experiences of life, they don't even understand the gravity of the terminology in which they're using. What's the origin of it? Where does it come from? You know, they are so surface. You know, I say this because it's in a song. I say this because my friends say it. I use this term because it's something that has a whole different meaning in my house. You know, and then they come and they get with a group of young people who have come from all different backgrounds, you know, and they say this thing, and then somebody's offended. So we have to also teach that as well, that, hey, be mindful of, you know, those types of things, so that we won't impede on other people's progress in ways of living. If it doesn't stop you from being the best person you could be, and you're not stopping anybody from being the best person to be, it's good.
That's awesome, man. Great thoughts on Shapri's non-negotiable. Now, hey, we haven't done this before on Life Off the Bench, but I think now is a great time to do it. Because generally all of the panelists that are regular cast members on Life Off the Bench we almost old. Like we going up the hill. So I want to bring in.
You going to be?
I'm up the hill, y'all.
I'm here.
I mean, up.
Way up. I'm still blessed. So, hey, we're gonna bring in a young adult who's really just getting their life started, and you know they have a voice too. So let's try this out. We're gonna bring in guest Kiana James. Hello, Kiana. How are you?
Unmute yourself, baby girl.
Hey, I'm good.
Hey, don't be nervous. It's okay. All right, we got you. We're gonna protect you to the best of our ability. You've been watching the show. I've seen you make a couple of comments tonight.
I'm giving her the business, y'all.
All the way.
Please don't give it to me. Don't give it to me. I don't want it.
Just for y'all that don't know, that's my baby girl.
We will not be antagonistic to the guests. Okay?
I love you. Okay.
As a young person, I think you just turned 26.
27.
What,
I mean, I want to be 25, so I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm
all right,
forever 25,
in,
forever 25.
in your young journey into adulthood, what are some of the things that you, in your mind, deem that are non-negotiables for you?
Um, Letting somebody peer pressure me into doing something. I feel like I'm responsible for the choices I make. I can't make somebody do something and I can't make them agree with my thought process, but we don't have to agree and we can definitely agree to disagree. But you're not going to strong arm me into feel like, oh, you're going to do this because I want you to. You can stand strong in your beliefs and not lose who you are as a person. I feel like a lot of us young people, oh, well, we see certain people do it or celebrities do it. So I want to be like that person. I try to stay true to myself and the way I was raised so that I don't feel like I'm letting myself down or letting anybody else down that's looking up to me. Because you really never know who's watching you or saying, oh, you're a positive role model for myself, my kids, or anybody. You just never know who's watching. So I try to stand firm in my beliefs and making sure that I'm making the right decisions. Because I mean, I don't do everything right, but I at least try to make the responsible decisions and choices in life.
Hey, real spill, man. That was a great non-negotiable. And all I heard out of all the things you said, when you said this, it stopped for me, and that was be true to
Cheers.
thine own self. And because it's a lot of us that are followers, and we'll follow up somebody ass cracks.
You said it now.
It's it's
I
it's,
mean,
it's
no
out
point in
there.
stopping.
It's
Just
out
keep
there.
going. You just been off the
I didn't
chain.
even say that out loud though.
I mean, you
Like,
thought it, so you definitely meant to say it.
We
But
need a timeout button.
Right.
I'm gonna take my punishment and I'm gonna put myself in timeout for
You already
5
said
minutes.
it. Keep going. He's such a.
Come on, Chad, with your question, because he.
Okay, so here's my question, Kiana. So and I'm speaking in general as a older person, I guess you would say. How open do you feel that young people are to considering a different point of view? Because we have a lot of headstrong young people. We have a definitely have a lot of headstrong old folks, and so um, with with older folks having the wealth of knowledge of experience in certain situations, certain things. How open are young people to uh, to listening, or are open to being receptive of other of directions?
I personally feel like it's not even what the I don't want to call y'all elders, but it's not what the older people say.
Go back to
Sometimes,
elders.
Elders.
okay, elders, go back to elders. Okay, I apologize. I don't want to offend nobody. I just feel like when the message is being construed, it's not what you say. It's sometimes to us, it's how you say it. Because it's like if you say, "Oh, well, don't do this," because when I was doing it, it didn't work. Well, give me some tools to use so that I don't further make the same mistakes you did. Not just beat at me and say, "You're not gonna do this because it didn't work for me." Well, tell me why or give me an alternative route to take so that I cannot make the same choices you did. For me, it's all about how people come at me because I'm real soft, but I want to be a gangster sometimes. But I'm real soft, like I'm sensitive. Out of all my mom's kids, I wear my heart on my sleeves, and my uncle he be the main one. You a Grace, and you gotta be tough. Stop crying about everything. Well, I
You
gotta
the
cry
main one
first.
crying.
I gotta cry first so I can evaluate the situation. Sorry. But for me, it's how you say stuff to me. So if you say, hey, don't do it this way, look, try maybe going this way because if you go around the bush, it might stick you a few times. All right, well, let me try. I ain't got stuck before. Let me try. Didn't I just tell you not to go around the bush? Okay, well, I want to go around the bush and see if it really hurt. So for me, it's more so like maybe I know for me, it's not what you say, it's how you kind of say it to me. And for most of our generation, it's just like, how you gonna tell me about some stuff? It obviously didn't work for you, or you wouldn't be in the situation that you in, or vice versa. So they just headstrong on, well, it didn't work for you. So how are you? Who are you to tell me that it ain't gonna work for me?
Right.
So I just feel like maybe a sense of telling them and then giving them some tools in the process of while telling them and how you're kind of telling them, maybe gently telling them because they're a little soft too. They ain't gonna tell you they soft, but they soft.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I can't even answer no question, y'all,
Oh yeah,
because
you can.
Oh,
I
We
already
have
I'm
know.
real
happy
life
for
talk
it.
every day.
I will tell you, she made parenting really easy. She did. She is the softest of all my kids. She wear her heart on her sleeves, but she love big. She get it from her mama. You hear her saying, "To thine own self be true." They know, keep in my words. I say it all the time. She listens and she takes stuff to heart. She may not like what you said. She right. She gonna cry a little bit. Um, but she gonna come back and she gonna be like, "Okay, well, tell me what you meant about that." And I just feel like a lot of people in her age group, they don't do that. Because they got the mentality, you don't tell me what to do. Like she said, it didn't work for you, now you want to tell me. Well, maybe it didn't work for me, but we can help you figure out a different way to go about doing it. The gentleman that put himself in timeout, he said I gave them a lot of friends growing up. They had a lot of room or margin to do a lot of stuff, but I allowed them to make some choices and some decisions on their own. Were all of them good? No. All of them bad? No. Did they learn from them? Oh, I'm sure my son learned from a few of his, bumping his head up against the wall. But like Shapri said earlier, also they're a different generation. They got a lot more technologies. They got a lot more ideas. They got a lot more thought processes. Um, I tend to think they deal with a lot more stuff because our parents say you're a child, you stay in the child's place, and we knew what that meant.
That's it.
For them, they don't get to always stay in the child's place. Um, so how do you think, Kiana, growing up, the parenting you received allowed you to be accepting or non-accepting of a lot of things from different people growing up in your age group with them doing, and I'm just gonna put this out here, marijuana is the thing to do with their age group. You either in or out. um, so that's a choice you make. Either and a lot of times I know some kids that are out, but they hang with kids that are in. So that's I accept you for what you do, but I'm not gonna do it. How do you think your parenting helped you be accepted or non-acceptance of some of the things your age group is doing?
Um, See, there, my mom, y'all talked about birds of a feather. That was something that was pretty much instilled. My mom used to say, like, birds of a feather flock together. And I'd be like, Ma, how you lump all that together? Just because my friends doing it don't necessarily mean I'm doing it, because I was the type of kid, I wasn't gonna allow somebody to strong on me to do anything. If I was gonna do it, I was gonna do it because I wanted to do it, not necessarily to fit in with anybody. I was gonna do it because I wanted to. But I guess in my household, just being able to have free range and make certain decisions for myself, it kind of was an eye opener because a lot of my friends, they didn't have that. Most of them were just able to do what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, and there was no consequences or repercussion. So I knew in the back of my mind, if I do this with them, oh, it's gonna be some consequences and repercussions, whether I agree with them or like them. I was big and bad enough to do it, so I had to face the reality of when I come home. I was gonna have to answer some questions, whether I wanted to or not, or whether even if I didn't participate in what was going on. Well, why were you even there? Like, what would make you want to stay? I was just trying to hang out with the people I thought were my friends, not necessarily to mix myself in the wrong crowd. But now that I'm older and I realize it and I have my own kids, it's just like,
You got
okay,
kids?
mama. Well, my husband has 3 kids, so I have 3 kids. Why are you looking shocked like that?
Shit, I'm shocked.
Oh,
No.
But
Mom,
continue. I'm sorry. I'm
Mom, get
sorry.
your brother.
Forgive
I'm
me.
about to leave. I don't feel welcomed here.
You're,
You
you're
are
so
very much
welcome.
welcome.
I don't. Can you go? I liked it when you was muted and unseen. I like that version. I like that.
So,
I like that version.
Who he might
I
not
like that
invite you back
version.
no more, girl.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. He loved me.
so I have a question.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
do you think in your oh Lord, okay. So what do you think in your age that make it
You
get
gotta give her ass a hard one now, Pre.
No,
nah, I'm not gonna do that.
See,
But
that
so
that's a requirement. That's part of those non-negotiables she had to accept. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I just hadn't heard in a long time because these kids now, huh? But outside from my kids. But what I'll say is, my question is, what is or what do you think in your age group is the biggest misunderstanding between parents and kids?
big misunderstanding.
Is it most times kids think parents just don't understand? They're not able to express themselves. They're not like
I feel like it's not a
listening
full
enough.
circle.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I feel like it's not a full circle. Like our generation of my generation of kids feel like, oh well, it's not. My parents don't understand what I'm going through, and my thought process is the right thought process versus what my parents think I should be doing. So say you no, most of these kids are not well mannered. Well, for me, I feel like that's a given. Anybody older than me, you should give them respect, whether you know them or not. And my generation just feel like it's something you gotta earn. You just automatically get respect, and I don't feel like that. But I just feel like it's that our generation don't really understand where the elders are coming from when they try to give us real life advice until we actually stumble across that situation and have to handle it head first.
Okay.
Great response, Kia. I really do admire your response. Again, you are a very intelligent young lady, but this is the part that I maybe had a teeny weeny issue with, and it's only because of the generation that I grew up in. We had I, I like to think that we had very um, open-minded grandparents and definitely an open-minded mother. Like she didn't try to spray our dreams or deter us from doing things that we wanted to do or things that we believed in. Why is it that young adults? I want to make sure I address you guys properly. Why does it take you guys to bump your head into a wall to see that it hurts when again you have plenty of people that's at 27 is 32, 37, 42, 40, 47, 52. That's 25 years of life experience. Forget what they've been, all that they've been through, just a portion of life experience of waking up every single day and going through whatever it is you have to endure. Why isn't someone else's
What?
word good enough?
Who's she talking to?
I guess for me personally,
Because I'm still on
I
mute.
I feel like for me to hit my head against the brick wall, it give me not that I want to, but it give me the sense of understanding and really feeling it. Like somebody could tell me, "Don't touch the stove; it's hot."
We
But
did
if
a
I
few
don't,
times.
but if I don't do it myself to actually learn it and feel it and understand like what's the severity of it, I feel like it just go to a deaf ear. So for me, I have to really like handle situations and tackle them head on. Like you can tell me till you're blue in the face, hey, like take an alternative route. But for me, I have to go through that course just to see for myself and to know, like, what's in there. And it's not even just that we don't want to hear what y'all saying. Sometimes it's just to make our own step in the pavement and we feel like we going about it the right way, just in a different, it may not be that moment that we're supposed to be entering that door, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, Do I agree with it though? Absolutely not, because again, we didn't have a lot of people coming up in Monroe, Louisiana that was just saying, hey, this is the best alternative plan for you to be a better young adult so that you can be a better older adult. The thing that we learned was if you are a young fool and you continue to do foolish things throughout your young adolescent life, you will grow up to be an old fool, which is even more embarrassing from a standpoint of every day you're supposed to try to learn something to be better, to do better, to be a better help to someone else. Not again, this process of life is bigger than the people in your four walls or the people under your roof. If you're only worried about the people under your roof, what happens when everybody under your roof gets COVID and nobody can go outside to get food to eat or get you medicine you may need? Like, it has to be bigger than yourself and yet still be about you. And if you can't figure out how to manage that, we're steady going down this great decline that's going to run you off the cliff. And that means that more of your friends will be impoverished and in prison. More of your friends won't accept the educational steps that they need to provide for themselves. Because everybody knows that you can either go and work at McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and get $10, but what are you going to have to accept from McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and getting them $10? Or you can go and get educated and become educated and maybe provide a better way of life, better quality of life for yourself without bumping your head.
So I think I see it from both sides, because at the same time, life experience is sometimes the best teacher. So if you don't experience it yourself, you will never know. Also, young people may question, well, if I don't try it, how do I know my outcome may be different than yours? I don't know that until I try it. So, I'm not going to knock you for trying it, but understand outcome, consequences, and all of that in doing it. But I will say, for me, I don't feel the older generation or elder had an open mind, as far as grandparents and parents, because it's a lot of things they didn't know. It's a lot of things they didn't experience, especially what the youth or the younger generation is experiencing now. I will say now you have younger grandparents, so they're a lot more open minded because they're experiencing some of the same things with the kids. So, but again, I will say I don't agree or disagree with either. I think I see both sides.
I want to piggyback off of that because I thought about something the old coach used to say. Some of the best lessons learned are the ones that you learn on your own.
Right.
And that's true. And I think that's what the younger generation would like to do. I remember also you made the point, Shapri, about our elders. It seemed like they wanted to control us. I think maybe a twist to that is they set certain things in motion or that control what we think of as control because in their day era and time it was about safety. We was talking about the Emmett Till situation. They were in fear if we overstepped or usurped authority in a certain way that it may have dire repercussions and circumstances that we can never come back from. Now we're in a day and age where we as the older generation, we still have that same mentality, so to say, but I think it's a different reasoning. Whereas that generation they were in fear of our safety. We want our kids to experience and gain their goals and everything in a more efficient manner. Um, I was reading a book and they gave the analogy, we're the snowplow parents. We're the parents that want to clear all the obstacles out of their way so that they can gain everything that we feel like they deserve without them going through some trials and tribulations or going through unnecessary trials and tribulations. And so, is it good? Is it bad? I think in certain instances it is, but in certain instances it's not. We just they have to experience some things in order to be able to have a certain level of fortitude and tolerance and to be able to appreciate. Like you'll never appreciate something that you gain if you didn't have to go through something to get it. Like you don't. I think of my kids. My kids, whenever I give them $1, they spend it recklessly. But when they have to earn that dollar, they hold on to it a little bit, more carefully. And I think I guess we need to have a balance of them both, because we want every generation wants better for their kids, but we as the older generation, we fear the obstacles that some of the obstacles gonna take our kids out. And we don't want those things to take.
I have a question for her. I'm sorry not to cut you off, Chad.
Yeah.
But I do have a question for her. So, do your generation think sometimes as parents we put so much pressure and so many emphasis on what Chad just said that it discourages you all?
In a way, yes, because for me, it was just like, get an education, do better than I did. I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. And for me, it was a lot. For me, I felt not really overwhelmed, but I wanted to make her proud, and I wanted to make my dad proud, and I wanted them to see, like, I heard the things you had to go through, and I don't necessarily want to go through those things, but if I have to stumble across them, I want you to know that, like, it wasn't on anything that you did. I stumbled across those choices merely because those are the things that I didn't really pay attention to. They weren't keen details that I just gravitated to. It was just something that happened across the way, and I made sure that I not necessarily repeated the same steps.
Okay.
Great response, Keith.
Yeah.
I will say, as her parent and a parent, she has two other siblings. Well, three other siblings. Four. She got four, but I can't keep up. But the three that I distinctly raised, each one of them were different, and they all got the same. I don't want to say lectures, but
definitely lectures. Yeah, that's the word. That's the word.
they got the same words, and I hear what she's saying, because she and I have had this conversation that I didn't want her to make the same mistakes I made being a teen mom. I didn't want her to grow up thinking that she couldn't be whatever it was that she wanted to be because something else defined who she was or what she had to do in life. And so I think they got a lot of my past experiences through at them growing up. And I hope they ain't feel inadequate. I hope I was able to transpire to them that I just wanted them to be the best you that they could be. Again, I say she made parenting easy. She told on herself because she felt like, hey, if I just go and tell on myself,
Yeah, I was there too.
the lick gonna be a little lighter. Her other two siblings, they ain't telling nothing.
I'm sorry, I got another question.
Go right ahead.
So my question is, do you think it would have been better if your mom or your age group, the parents, do not throw their, I guess, life experiences in your face and treat you according to what comes up?
Not necessarily throw them, but like maybe limit the amount of times we have to hear the same spiel. If it's not at the front door, let's not just keep saying, "Hey, you don't need to be a teen mom. You can do it." Like if those challenges present themselves and you see that in your child in front of you, I would say, yeah, that's a conversation to be had. But if not, just if it occurs, or if you even see back to birds together, notice it and say something. But I feel like sometimes it may get a little overwhelming saying, "Oh, well, you here we go again, Mom. I already know. Why are you telling me this?" It's like you want me to go do it. You want me to go experience it at this point, or do you not want me to experience it? Because our generation is just feel like sometimes, yeah, I feel like y'all want me to do it. So let me just go out here and do it. Then when I go back and do it, it's too far. I tried to tell you not to do that. But for me, I feel like you just have those conversations on a need to have basis.
Okay.
I felt like I needed to have a conversation.
Mom, mom, that mom.
Oh,
Oh, child.
no, I'm just joking. No, she with her, I probably didn't need to have them conversations. I was probably overdoing some stuff. Again, she was a really good child. I'm not just saying that because she's on air with us. She was a really good child. Still is a great child. Um, I tried to have a lot of real life conversations with my kids. I was a teen mom. I didn't get a real life conversation. I got to keep your dress tail down, keep your pants up. And what did that mean to me as a 13-year-old? Not a whole lot. Um, I think we beat around the bush in telling them a lot of stuff, and they don't have a clue as to what we're talking about. As far because as we've already said earlier, they got a lot more access and means to stuff than we had, so they already know a lot more stuff. Their friends are already doing a lot more stuff, and believe me, they talking about it, whether
And
we
I
talk
was
about it or
always
not.
told because I said so, and don't ask
Uh,
me why.
and
And so
I really didn't try to parent with a lot of those. We had discussions, we had family meetings, and in the family meetings they get to speak their voice. They know that at the end of the day, I make the final decision, or their dad made the final decision.
yeah, so I
Um,
did my kids the same way, but I guess my question, I'm sorry, I got another question. I like this little thing. Um, do you feel that parents need to tap a little bit more into what grabs their kids' attention to have a better understanding?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay.
Because if you I'm a visual learner too. So if you just talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there, I'm listening to you. Now, am
she
I
may
really
not understand.
grasping what you telling me? Okay, Mom. And here
that,
down the road, now why did you go and do that? Because you just heard me tell you not to do, but I didn't know. How did you not know, Key, when I just told you not to do it? It didn't kind of click. Like you speaking to me, and it's not really registering in my head. So I'm gonna agree because I hear you talking, but did I really understand what was being told to me? And for me, I noticed that a lot of my friends they say, "You better call your mom and ask her that." Yeah, why wouldn't I? Like we have real life conversations. So for me, it's like if I really don't understand something in my adult life, I gotta call her and see if that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I noticed that a lot of my friends they don't feel comfortable to do that. So it's just like, so you gonna hit your head, but then in a sense, it's like we want that responsibility, but we really don't want to have to come and ask y'all or tell y'all that we about to fail or make a life mistake. Because we already didn't beat ourselves up. So here we go having to tell y'all that we didn't let y'all down, we failed, and we need you to help us get out of the hole that we didn't put ourselves in. So that come with a lecture. So it's more so like pride beating you up because you got to get a whooping at 25 or however old you is. You got to get a whooping. Then you have to go and admit that you was wrong because you didn't listen to the first steps.
So let me ask you, growing up, did you feel well, I'm not even gonna say you because your mom's on here and she already said how she raised you, but because I'm kind of the same way with my kids. But did you feel or your generation or group of friends feel free or fear expressing yourself thinking that your parents would accept it?
I'd say my friends mostly, not necessarily me, because I was telling them myself,
Right.
because I can't do the trouble. Mm-mm. But a lot of my friends, they felt like they couldn't go and talk to their parent, and I'd be like, well, go talk to my mom and pick her ear or my dad, and they'll tell you what to do, and then you just go home and practice it. Because a lot of my friends would just be like, oh, they're my parents not understanding like your mom and dad. It's gonna be something else. And I'm thinking like, what you mean it's gonna be something else? These are your parents. Like they have, whether you make bad choices or not, they still gonna love you and give you the same guidance. But a lot of my friends, they didn't have that at home.
Yep.
So for me to
True.
sit back and realize and be thankful, like I do got two parents that really care about what I'm doing and how I handle situations, made it a whole lot easier for me to want to tell them, like, hey, I made a mistake or I'm struggling with this and I don't know how to tell you. Because we had an open door policy in our household. I may not like what you're gonna tell me, and I may not agree, but you can come and tell me and we'll figure out a plan together.
Right. Okay. Okay, I'm done.
Girl, you make me feel peacock proud now, like I did something right.
You did, and you know what, April? It's funny because my 9-year-old is that way, and I heard her friend because she talked with her cell phone on speaker and everything. But I heard her friend say, "You told your mom that?" And she's like, "Yes, I tell my mom everything." But I have those conversations, with my son. It was mother son, and I would let him freely talk. Then I would talk, and then we'll discuss it. And I do the same thing with my daughter. But as she said, her friends, even at 9, understand that they can't or they don't feel comfortable going to their parents about certain things that goes on in school
And,
or
you
just
know,
their little minds, period.
yeah, and it's crazy because we have those same types of conversations at my home, and my kids know that there's only one rule in saying that is it has to be respectful. You have to still understand that I'm dad and you're the kid, and you can say whatever it is that you want. It just has to be respectful,
Right.
you know. And as long as those lines aren't crossed, and that's why it's always so open, because we have that understanding.
And I will say we still have that relationship today. I think it was about a few weeks ago. She was saying something and she kept saying respectfully. And I said, what's this respectfully about? She talking about,
Yeah.
well, you said I can say whatever I want to say. I just have to be respectful in saying it.
And I tell my kids that because growing up we weren't allowed to express ourselves. It
Exactly.
was be quiet, you're a child. So like I tell my kids, you can express yourself freely, just with respect.
Right. And so we have to teach them how to express
Right.
themselves respectfully. So because this is my opinion, we raising a group of generation of children, and we want them to grow up and be adults that are able to function, do, go, be whatever. But we never give them that opportunity because you're a child, stay in the child's place. I'm the adult, do as I say, not as I do as I say, not as I do. But when they get to the age of adulthood and they get to college and they don't understand how to do 8 + 8
Right.
because we've been doing 1 through 7 form, and they don't have an understanding of why this doesn't work this way because we didn't allow them to use their deductive reasoning or thinking processes to become adults with a thinking mindset. I think they probably felt like they was doing too much because once they reach a certain age, you need to make your own doctor's appointments.
I
She
did
was
that
16.
too.
She
Pay
was
your own
16
phone bill.
scheduling surgeries, and then the lady said, "Well, I never talked to you, Mom." I said, "No, you never talked to me. You talked to a 16-year-old."
Yeah.
And she said, well, I never even knew she was 16 because she handled herself so well. Exactly, because I prepared her for adulthood. Now, did I tell y'all to schedule a whole surgery? No, but she did. And we went through the process. But does that mean that she was ready to be an adult at 16? No, it does not. Just means that she's taking the steps to gradually learn how to do what she needs to do. And except when it's something that, trust me, when it's something that either one of them that I raised don't understand or it don't sound like it's supposed to sound, they be like, let me go talk to my mama. Let me go talk to my daddy. And they may not have always talked to mom. Shoot, it might have been something they felt like, oh no, she ain't fit to hear that. She ain't fit. Let me go talk to dad. Um, But me and him also had an agreement. We ain't making no decisions outside each other. We gonna discuss it amongst each other. So they can't pit one parent against the other one either.
Right.
And they're gonna know that we're
Yeah.
on the same ground. We're on the same page. We fighting the same fight.
But that's very rare.
Yeah. You know,
So, and I'll say that, but I do thank you, Kiana, because I do think it would enlighten a lot of parents that that come across this platform. Um, whether they use it or not, I think it's an eye opener.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. You know what's scary is the skills that we're talking about. We know has to be taught, and one of the reasons why our kids find themselves in such precarious situations is because they don't have that skill. They don't have the skill of being able to express themselves but be respectful. Because I had this sign in my office. I say, hey, you could come in here, you could tell me whatever you want, but it has the definition of respect. It has to be respectful, and it transcends into adulthood. I deal with some undergraduate fraternity members, and one of the biggest problems that they have is they don't approach, especially administration and authority figures, sometimes with respect when they have a grievance, and it's a skill. It's a skill that has to be taught.
Yeah, it definitely be taught.
All righty then. Man, great segment. Great segment. And I was able to just sit here and listen and
Oh, what?
a
You listened?
little bit, little bit, little bit. Um, a little bit. Uh, I'm telling you guys, um, I probably would explode if I spoke on or about all the things that are non-negotiable for me. Um, Again, I'm told every single day. One day I'm gonna have him on as a guest. Um, that I care too much, and again, I have to agree. I must agree and digress at the same time that yes, I care too much. I am I gonna change who I am as a person? No. Um, if we had more people who cared, maybe we could get more things accomplished in a togetherness place. Um, we're only as good as the person to our right or to our left. Sometimes that's a spouse, sometimes that's a child, sometimes that's a sibling. But again, when you give to someone who can't do anything for you in return, you are a wonderful person in my eyes. Um, don't accept anything in life. I'm going to repeat this again. Don't just accept any and everything that someone tells you you must accept, you need to accept. Damn sure don't accept, get over it. Just get over it. You'll get over it. No, the hell I won't. I will not get over you trying to make me out of a walking puddle. Clean up your own mess if you want me to be better. If you want me to accept something, clean it up. Make it palatable for me. And then maybe I can accept it. But as long as it doesn't go down this palate tongue smooth, I will never accept anything. I'm going to fight for what I believe in to be right. I'm going to fight for the little guy. I'll fight with the big guy if they're right. And I definitely will fight for all the things that I love because that's just how my mother raised me. and she still to this day is the greatest woman I ever encountered. Hey, thank you guys for joining us on tonight's show. If you don't get your hind part in here.
Oh, look at Chad. He got
I know, right? That's so cute.
too cute. Come on, Key. Hearts up.
Okay.
He about to be
Distracted.
Hey, what they say? Remove. No, just playing. But hey, thank you guys for all of your insight and input on tonight's show. I missed the comment. You guys, forgive me. Then the Okie Benjamin little son watching the show. Thank you, Mr. Armani Benjamin, for the hearts. Let me show you a little love, my guy. I hope that's Coach Okie Benjamin's son. Hey, I'm gonna let y'all do the parting shout out tonight. Who wants to do the parting shout out?
Definitely not me. Folks calling me.
Not me either.
Dad. Hey, cap, no cap. Thank y'all. Have a good night. Come again.
Cap, no cap. Bye.
Yeah, y'all know we gotta be silly sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Oh, look. Let's do this. This is real serious right here. I'm gonna post it to all the social media sites. If someone can give us a credible topic that they want to discuss, we will have them on the show to discuss their topic.
That's
How about that?
Like that.
Come on, be a part. Just for a day. Be a part of the life.
Engage in the conversation.
For an hour, 40 minutes, 2 hours. Come be a part of the Life Off the Bench family. We love you guys. Thank you guys for always joining us every single week. You are the very best. Remember, get off the bench.
Get into the game.